Welcome to the Explainer. When most of us hear Parkinson's disease, our minds usually go straight to the visible symptoms, right? We picture the tremors, the rigidity, the changes in how someone moves. But today, we're going to uncover a hidden battle taking place entirely in the mind. We're zooming deep into the brain to investigate a microscopic cellular executioner known as ZBP1, which actually drives severe depression in Parkinson's patients. And then we're going to zoom all the way back out to look at a powerful, evidence-based cure, showing you exactly how targeted physical exercise can literally rewrite brain chemistry and stop this cellular destruction in its tracks.
So here's our roadmap for today. We're looking at the hidden Parkinson struggle, inside the prefrontal cortex, how ZBP1 drives cell death, exercise as an antidepressant, and finally, the precision exercise prescription. Let's get right into it.
Section 1. The hidden Parkinson's struggle. We're starting with a challenge that is incredibly widespread, yet almost invisible to the outside world.
A staggering 40%. 40% of people living with Parkinson's disease experience debilitating depression. Let's just pause on that number for a second, because it's absolutely crucial to understand. This isn't just some rare edge case. It's a massive, central component of the disease's overall burden. For a huge portion of patients, this deep, unyielding depression is actually far more debilitating than the motor symptoms. It strips away motivation and energy, dropping their quality of life in ways that a tremor simply doesn't. Now, you might be thinking, well, of course they're depressed. Getting a chronic diagnosis is incredibly hard. And while that's absolutely true, the literature tells a far more fascinating biological story. This depression isn't just situational. It is a structural breakdown. It is literally wired into the exact same dopamine pathways the disease attacks. Just like a shaking hand is a physical symptom, this depression is a biological symptom of the brain's wiring actively fraying and falling apart.
Which brings us to Section 2, inside the prefrontal cortex.
To see how this vital circuitry actually breaks down, we have to zoom way in, microscopically, to the medial prefrontal cortex. It's basically a biological domino effect. Step 1. Dopaminergic projections from the substantia nigra reduce. Think of this as the brain's main dopamine factory failing to send out its supply lines. Step 2. Without that dopamine, the microglia DRD2 receptors downregulate. Essentially, the brain's immune cells lose their calming receptors and start to panic. And that state of immune panic leads directly to Step 3, a massive, dangerous spike where ZBP1 significantly upregulates inside the brain.
And that dangerous spike leads us to the core focus of today's explainer. Section 3, how ZBP1 drives cell death. This is where things get wild. When ZBP1 spikes, it acts as the ultimate molecular executioner. It builds a machine that triggers panaptosis, a self-destruct sequence driving pyroptosis, apoptosis, and necroptosis simultaneously through a multimeric complex. Think about that for a second. You have quiet cell suicide, a fiery inflammatory explosion, and messy cell bursting all happening at the exact same time. It's a catastrophic molecular pileup driven by ZBP1. This multi-pronged attack absolutely ravages the neural networks responsible for mood and motivation, directly causing those severe depressive behaviors. But here is the deeply encouraging part. Knocking down ZBP1 in the MPFC suppresses panoptisome formation, stops neuronal injury, and alleviates depressive behaviors. In mouse models, if scientists just step in and disable this ZBP1 executioner, the whole cell death cascade just stops dead in its tracks. No ZBP1 means no execution machine. The injury halts, healthy brainwaves come back, and the depression lifts. This proves we can literally stop Parkinson's depression at its biological roots.
But, we aren't lab mice, so how do we fight back and protect these neurons in the real world? How does a patient actively intervene against ZP1 without just relying on a bunch of heavy pharmaceuticals? That question brings us to Section 4, exercise as an antidepressant. Zooming all the way out to a massive review of 21 randomized controlled trials, the data is incredibly revealing. Look at this. Multi-component exercises like Tai Chi and yoga had the largest effect on depression, with a standard mean difference of negative 1.22. They outperformed both resistance exercise and aerobic exercise, though both of those still showed significant improvement for sure. Why does multi-component win? Well, practices like Tai Chi demand physical balance, intense motor control, and deep mental mindfulness all at the same time. That rich, complex demand perfectly stimulates those struggling dopamine pathways, forcing the brain to rebuild connections.
But if you're going the aerobic route, there's a specific aerobic exercise threshold you have to hit. The strongest signal appears at 150 to 180 MET minutes per week. A casual stroll isn't going to cut it. To put that into perspective, you're looking at something like 30 minutes of moderate to vigorous cycling 3 times a week. That specific dose creates enough physiological stress to force the brain to release protective neurochemicals, actively fighting back against that ZBP1 executioner we talked about.
Which naturally leads us right into Section 5, the precision exercise prescription. We are way past just vaguely telling patients to exercise more. The data gives us a very real Goldilocks zone. For the best brain health outcomes, we want sessions lasting 60 minutes or more with a program duration of over 8 weeks. But check this out. The frequency should actually be less than 3 times per week, keeping the total weekly time under 180 minutes. That might sound counterintuitive, right? Shouldn't more be better? Actually, no. Your brain needs adequate recovery time to actually build that neuroplasticity. If you overdo it, the systemic stress just backfires. This precise dosing is the perfect structured medicine.
So, as we wrap up this explainer, think about the incredible arc we've just traveled. We went from a microscopic protein called ZBP1 causing an absolute fiery cellular catastrophe, all the way to a macroscopic 60-minute Tai Chi class acting as a literal biological shield against it. It totally reframes how we should look at lifestyle interventions. So, knowing what we know now about the brain, how will you use targeted movement to fundamentally alter your brain chemistry?